was looking at Bontemps stuff. I was like, yo, what's he got going on? Was
Yeah.
it, who's
You got to be
who's his uncle?
You got to.
Who's this?
You got to be a good. You got to be good at this. God should just look down and go, you know what? You ruined this life. You're going to be short.
Wait, look at him now. Hey, who's his uncle?
Who's his uncle?
Yeah, like what's his grandfather? Who's his great grandfather?
What's up?
Mean? What's up? Look at the hair. Look at the hair. What's up, man? What's up?
What's Zach Levine? Oh,
who's his great grandfather?
I see what you're suggesting. Are we talking little brother Bontemps?
I'm just saying. Who's his great grandfather?
No way. There is no way.
I don't know.
Now I see why you're asking.
Yeah.
Good thing his buddy is here. Hey, is Bontemps black? Bontemps? No, I didn't think so.
Well, like,
I didn't. Babe Ruth. Look, tweet a picture of Bontemps. Yes or no?
Once again, I want to know who his great grandfather is.
He had a little Zach Levine in his hair. It was a little Zach Levine there.
A little bit. I'm just saying. I want to know who his great grandfather is.
Brother
Bontemps.
Little brother Bontemps vibes there.
It might be a couple. It might be a generation removed.
It's not just hair though. It's nose, it's lips.
True.
Like he's lacking in all other categories.
True. I'm just, might be a generation removed.
What's that?
I said I'm not allowed to ask these questions.
No, you're not, but you get to answer them, and that's your boy. Bontemps.
Am I allowed to answer them? I don't know.
Well, you did hand us a plate of donuts in a rather suspicious way last week.
Yeah. Never forget.
Never forget.
You know what we missed yesterday? And they had a big story on it that I wanted to see. It's been 5 years since the NBA shut down. Yesterday was the day.
Yeah.
And ESPN.
I didn't get to read. Yeah, I didn't get to read Baxter's article on it.
Yeah, I want to check that out. But man, that's one of those days. We talk about it often, but that's one of those days. I'll never forget that day.
Yeah, I remember there's a delay in was it Jazz Thunder?
Mm-hmm.
And so I flipped over to League Pass, and there's a delay. No one's really saying what's going on. And all of a sudden, Frankie J comes out. And I'm like, oh, are they killing time with the halftime act? Okay. And then there starts to be like rumblings, and then
and for
who tweeted it first? Was it Shams? Or was it Woj?
It might have been Shams.
I thought it was Shams that tweeted the NBA season is
for us in the profession that we're in when we talk about sports. That was probably the definitive moment when COVID got real. When the NBA stopped, it's like,
that's right.
Oh, COVID is really here, and it's a real problem.
Yep.
Because the NBA shut down.
I told you guys I was that entire weekend was weird. I was in Portland I flew up to Portland on Friday, went out with a friend from high school who with him and his wife, and we went out to dinner in Portland, but that's when Seattle was like, ground zero, right? Yeah. And he worked all week in Seattle and then flew and came home to Portland, and we all went out to dinner. And then I went to the game on Saturday night. I flew home early Sunday morning because the Kings played Toronto in a back-to-back at home. So I was in two, giant cylinders in the sky, filled with people breathing on everybody, hotel rooms. I was in two arenas. And then we get to that Monday. The Kings, I think it was a Wednesday night. They had a couple of days off. And we were sitting there, and the news broke. I was sitting on the set when it broke, and that the game was suspended in Oklahoma City, right? And so there's an usher, amazing, cool lady that stands right next to the set every day, and they open the doors right after that, and people are flooding in. And I said, hey, take a step back, stand on our set, don't go out there, and don't touch people's phones, don't touch all the stuff, because we had no idea what we were getting into. But I had just read this weird article about how quickly it could spread and all this stuff. And so gave her my hand sanitizer, and then I went down. I was standing with Amick, and we watched, we're waiting for the Pelicans to come out on the floor, and they just didn't.
Yeah.
And then NBA security opened their locker room door and goes, we're done. And so Sam and I were standing there tweeting like, oh, looks like the game's getting canceled. And then we start to hear like right then that the official that had called the game on Monday with the Jazz and someone else was already, he was not only there, but he was in the locker room with the other two officials. So they were worried that he might have it and had already spread it to the other two officials. Again, like what we know now, what we knew then, totally different. But still like a really, really weird situation to be on the court. And then we like switched into like TV broadcast mode where they just kept coming to us on the floor at Golden One Center, and like Katie and I standing next to each other with her towering over me with her giant heels on. And we just kept they kept coming back to us again and again and again on the floor for updates and hits. And we're running around trying to figure out what's happening. It was wild. 5 years. That's crazy.
That's what I'm saying. You don't feel like it's been 5 years, but that's crazy.
5 years.
A real quick note.
It felt like it was never going to end.
It really did. I didn't think we'd ever get to this point.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Crazy side note. You talk about Portland. Next night, Toronto. Was that the game where Damian was doing like a playback, watching it live, got disgusted with Luke Walton's out of bounds play, and the guy in the crowd, he yelled something at Luke, and the TV picked it up.
I think it was Luke. Was it you left the 3-point champion on the bench or something like that? Like I don't remember if it was the same game or not. I do know what clip you're talking about because it's the one where I'm just kind of like I threw something in the air. Yeah,
it was a Sunday. That's why I remember that. And you said Portland. Yeah, I think it was. I'm about to check right now. I think it was. Oh, there's postponed.
But I do remember.
Yeah,
I think
Portland
it was
Saturday. Sunday was Toronto.
Sunday was Toronto,
and they lost by 5. So yeah.
And I think I've told you guys this. The guy who yelled, like he was yelling at Luke like very loudly and got picked up on the air, right? I actually a couple of times a year, when I come out of the tunnel on the home team side, like during pregame, that guy's always in the stands and would like, hey James, come here. I'd go over and say hi to him and like have conversations. I don't remember his name. But anyway, he called me over after that and was super embarrassed.
And I remember you told us that.
He apologized and he said, is there any way you can go tell Luke, like at any time, like, hey, that the guy in the stands that yelled that on the air is really sorry. And he didn't really mean it. He just got caught up in the moment. And I'm like, yeah, no stress. So I actually had a conversation with Luke about it.
Did you tell Luke Cheryl and Elk Grove thinks he sucks?
Well,
I didn't.
Oh,
she
would like that message.
She wasn't a believer. That's all it was. She wasn't a believer.
Actually, what she said was much worse.
Well, that and she hasn't brought in any of that lemon cake for me in a long time. So
I'll put the word out.
She did bring in cake recently. No, but
yeah, it was the lemon cake. But what it was we were going to be gone.
Yeah,
like the whole building.
No, like she brought it in late, and then we were like off, and it was basically. You have to take the cake home.
Yeah, I'll be taking this. Don't worry.
She basically brought her son a cake.
For perspective, we talk about that Kings moment, and we say, they were playing some good basketball. I think they were gonna track down Memphis. I think it was.
It was Memphis. Memphis's schedule the last 12 games of the season was nearly impossible.
And we were like, I think they're gonna get them. The Kings was cooking.
It's just the most romantic story we tell.
The Kings going into the New Orleans game were 28-36 on the season.
But they
were playing well, but 13, they were 28-36. And we hate this team. Some people hate this team that's 3 games over 500.
I think they were 13-7 over the 20 games leading up to that night.
They were playing really well.
After they had put Bogdan into the starting lineup over Buddy Hield and moved Buddy Hield to the bench. That was
that's right.
And they all of a sudden started to go on a run and looked really good. And they were playing New Orleans that night, and they were, I think, a half game behind New Orleans. But if they could have won that game, they would have been the odds-on favorite to make it to the play-in. The playoffs. The play-in didn't exist.
It wound up existing.
Yeah.
It's just the most romantic story we tell.
I'm with the. I think
we were going to do it.
I think they were going to catch him.
We were going to do it. The drought would have ended. Vlade'd still be here, even though it appears he's here now.
Well, shout out
So
Vlade.
Vlade's
Vlade
calling
was,
the shots, huh?
Where were they at the other day? He was in LA.
Yeah, he was in LA.
He was in Sacramento. I had a conversation with him.
No, that's normal. He was in LA, James.
Sitting next to Vivek.
Yeah.
Well, he was with Vivek like the whole week. Yeah, actually, they were coming down the tunnel. And I said, hey, he stopped and
There's always a shadowy figure lurking somewhere, isn't there?
he's so nice though.
I'm not saying he's mean.
I recorded video of him and De'Aaron.
I saw that.
And then
Very
Vlade
cute.
came over. He goes, "Did you take a picture?" And I'm like, I said, "I got video." He's like, "Ooh, can you send it to me?" And I said, "Yes, I'll send it to you, Vlade." So I sent it to him.
Is that how he talks?
Yes, that's how he
Okay.
talks.
All right.
Vlade still very, very tall.
He is not shrunk. That is
Still
still,
very,
that's
very
still
tall.
a big dude.
He very much he talks like Andre the Giant.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. Anybody want a peanut?
That's terrific. I
Yeah.
love that your Andre the Giant line is the Princess Bride.
Of course.
That's great. That's great.
I love watching Andre the Giant as a kid and wrestling, but
Mhm.
but yeah, Princess Bride, amazing.
I know you don't
James
like
talking
Andre. I
about
was always
wrestling.
fascinated by Andre the Giant.
Who don't like Andre?
You.
I wouldn't say I don't like him. I'm indifferent.
Oh,
He's fine.
I just think he's fascinating. Like he's he's a literal giant.
He is fat. Well,
Even though he
what kind of ruined it for me was all the truth that came out.
the fact that he was like 6'8".
Yeah. When I thought he was 7'1".
But the giantism is like the hands and the head and the teeth and the
Yeah.
feet and all of that stuff.
Wait,
Nah.
he's only how tall?
He's like 6'9".
What?
Yeah, there's a
See,
picture
you
of him.
you done ruined it for James.
There's a picture. The most famous picture is him, Arnold, and Wilt Chamberlain, and you see, and like Hogan is like 6.
He's pretty tall.
Hogan's like 6'5".
Yeah.
Like they used to say he was 6'8". Hogan's like 6'4" or 6'5".
They list him at 7'4",
Oh, stop!
520
James.
pounds.
No, Andre the Giant is not 7'4".
He's
He's
just broke
absolutely
kayfabe for James.
yeah. Okay, James, wrestling is a work. In
Okay.
every aspect, wrestling is a work.
I
We
see
lost James.
I see the picture that you're talking about, and he's way bigger. He's way bigger than
No,
Arnold
He's
Schwarzenegger.
nowhere near Will.
He's way bigger than Arnold. What's Arnold like 5'9"?
Even if Arnold's 5'9", he's still way over a foot taller than Arnold.
How tall is Arnold?
I think
Arnold-
he's
Arnold's
listed
short.
6
Arnold's
foot
short.
tall. I think that's what Arnold's.
No
I think he's
way.
I think he's like 5'9".
No way.
Now we've gone down a rabbit
it says
hole.
he's 6'2". This is a
No,
lie.
Arnold ain't 6'2".
There's no way Arnold's 6'2".
That's his NBA height.
Put that picture back up. There is no way Arnold is 6'2".
First of all, Arnold's 77.
everything. Okay,
Oh no.
I got 5'11" I got anywhere from 5'11" to 6'2".
Here's another aspect. If Andre the Giant is 7'4", how tall is Big John Studd? Because they were damn near nose. What, Big John Studd 7'1"? No, he was like 6'8".
I don't know. I just like Andre the Giant is a tall dude.
Big John Studd listed as 6'10". Big John Studd. This is what you tune in for. Big John Studd versus Hulk Hogan. I need to see them nose to nose. Because Hogan, I've stood next to Hulk Hogan. He's 6'5"-ish, 6'4"-ish. Look at this. Look at this picture of this is what you're here for. Look at this picture of Hogan and Andre.
Oh, come on.
Oh man, Hogan is not.
Come
What is Hogan? What was Hogan? 6'11"?
Yeah, but what is Hogan standing on? And
I'll show you the picture that
ain't gonna let it go.
It's still real to me, damn it. It's
Okay,
still real to me.
wait, we said 6'10", right?
I
6'10".
said, we said 6'9".
I think he's somewhere around 6'10", 6'9".
Okay, so this will solve part of it. Here is Big John Studd and Arnold, and he is way taller. Andre the Giant is way taller.
Okay,
The
he is.
Giants not 7'4".
This is the picture.
You said 6'9". Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know who that guy is in the middle.
This is the picture that fooled everybody. They don't know that Andre's standing on a box. Andre's standing on
man?
a box in that picture.
What are you doing?
Vince is like, I'm going to make him look larger than life, so he had him stand on a box.
This is ridiculous.
This is like when you learn a magician's tricks.
You guys have seen the picture of
Like, look at this one. Here's another one.
Shaq
Oh, no.
next to Yao Ming, right? Oh my god.
Yes, that was real though.
Yes.
that was real. Seeing Yao, I think I saw Yao during the Olympics once, and it was a pretty amazing sight because it's China.
Yeah.
It's a flood of people. And then it's literally, it looks fake. And then it's one individual above all of them. And I'm watching this because I'm way behind watching this. Like, this is the fakest movie scene I've ever seen, and it's just Yao walking with members of the media and his people, and it was an absolute sight,
completely dwarfing all of them. An NBA team in general is actually like when you kind of see them all together and see all these 6-7 guys in one. Like, do we go to the grocery store and see 10, 6, 7 guys? Like, no, when you see all of them in one spot, it's like, damn, that's kind of crazy. It catches your attention.
I know a lot of people had always said, hey, Bogdan, there's no way he's anywhere near 6'6". And then Doug, like the first time we met Bogdan, Doug stood next to him and goes, oh yeah, he's if he's not 6'6", he's real close. Because Doug's like, I'm 6'7", 6'6 3/4 without shoes or whatever. He's like, yeah, he's 6'6". He's taller than he looks like when you when you see him on TV or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then I know Sasha Vezenkov was listed at 6'9", and I was told he might be 6'6.5", maybe. Wasn't even close to 6'9".
Damn. How tall is Stephen Brown?
About 5'4".
Is this a running joke with Steve Brown? I know it's
Stephen Brown says he's 6'5".
When you see
no one believe, no, I don't want to say no one. Casey doesn't believe it.
When you see like NBA players like walking around, it's like, man, that's crazy. When you see Stephen Brown walk, it's just like, it's whatever. Just whatever. That's another normal 5'5" person.
Seeing Shaq in person for the first time was a bit startling, for lack of a word, because I didn't see him on the floor. I saw him at Ricky's.
I
watched him get out of a limo.
Probably at the ceiling.
Well, I've never watching him get out of a limo. It was, you see these two legs get out, and then he like ducks under. It's like he got out of the car in sections, and then goes to the door and is it popping in here? The girl says, "Yep." You're not dressed right, and Shaq gets in the limo and drives away.
What?
That's a shoot.
What?
That's a shoot.
Who is this woman?
That's a shoot. It's 100. I forgot her name. That's 100% shoot.
Oh my goodness.
Same one that turned Team Dime away. All 14 of them. They thought, you think Team Dime was 10? No, there was a whole bunch of people ready to go in there and spend money. They're like, no, that's cool.
What spot was that?
Club Ricky's. 705 J Street, downtown Sacramento. World famous. I added the world famous part. It really wasn't world famous.
Okay.
It's correct. You don't.
It's
you
not.
Absolutely don't.
It's not like where Tunel was, right?
No. No.
Tunel
was Old Sac. This was on 7th and Jerry. So Ricky's was here. Hard Rock was here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I know that area.
Hard Rock, man.
Well, you remember I worked at that Copeland Sports for years.
Yeah, that was just Copeland.
Yeah,
above.
Copeland.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Well, for a year, I think.
This was all planned. We'll come back.
Random.
This went exactly.
James, he's not 7'4".
James, about today's show.
James is furious with this Andre the Giant slander.
I'm deep into this now. It's like
we will
ridiculous.
come back. We will center our focus on Kings basketball practice today. What James was able to see and find out regarding Domantas Sabonis. That's coming up with D'Lo and Casey. Return here with James Ham on Sacramento Sports Leader, ESPN 1320.
I didn't know that Hulk Hogan was listed at 6'7".
Yeah.
And how tall is Hulk Hogan?
Probably 6'4", 6'5".
Okay. But with boots on, he probably is closer to 6'7".
Maybe. Yeah, maybe.
Do you mean to tell me that the Undertaker's from parts unknown either?
The Undertaker's,
No, Undertaker's from Death Valley.
6'10", The Undertaker.
From Death Valley.
What? Okay, so here's Hulk Hogan standing next to Lou Ferrigno.
Lou Ferrigno's kind of fraudulent too.
How so?
As far as like being the Hulk, like he was literally just some 6-foot guy in shorts.
He's 6'5". Lou Ferrigno?
Didn't
Bruno
Lou
Sammartino
Ferrigno play in the
vibes.
NFL? Wasn't he a Raider?
Lou
No.
Ferrigno? I don't
Or
think
no.
so.
You're thinking
Oh.
John Matuzak or Lyle Alzado,
Lyle.
who both had
Mm.
acting careers.
I'm thinking about
Yeah. Yeah, John Matuzak was in Ice Pirates. Oh, great movie. And John Matuzak is Sloth from Goonies.
It's all foreign to me.
I've never seen the Goonies. Is that a must watch?
Yes. Goonies is spectacular. Yeah, John Matuzak died at 38 years old.
Damn, man.
Those dudes were all on crazy steroids. John Matuzak was in One Crazy Summer as well. One Crazy Summer is a classic. It's a kind of a sequel to Better Off Dead.
This feels like a bit much, Zabo. Yeah, I've never seen the Goonies. Casey, you've seen it?
No.
Goonies is
Dame, have you ever seen the
spectacular.
Goonies?
No.
You guys are killing me. John Matuzak died of an accidental overdose of Darvocet.
What?
He had cocaine found in his system as well. Darvocet is for back pain.
Justin Fields got, what did he get, $20 million a year?
New York?
No, 15 or 15, I think. I think it's 40 total, 30 guaranteed, I think.
30, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
30 years. That's
Yeah, Scooter, I don't know what's
guaranteed.
going on here. I agree. No one has seen Goonies. It's just ridiculous.
Never seen it, man. Never seen it. What's the premise?
Kids find a treasure map and go looking for the treasure because they're about to get evicted from their homes because a rich a-hole is going to build a golf course on the coast of Oregon.
Have you seen Blank Check?
Of course, I've seen Blank Check. Yeah,
That's the one right there. Little 13-year-old trying to hit on it's who is she's a legend. She's a legend. It's not
let me see Blank Check cast.
it's not Rosalind Sanchez, is it?
Is it Karen Duffy?
That sounds about right. Yeah, that's who that was. Karen Duffy. I'm about to say that's too long ago for Rosalind Sanchez.
What was it? I think the kid on that is the little brother from it's the one with Kurt Cameron. Who's the boss? No. Oh, come on, James.
Kurt Cameron's Growing Pains.
Growing Pains. Yeah.
Sister was on. We got it.
We'll never know.
Charmed.
Charmed. What's
Full House.
Hey, James with the Candace Cameron.
My
She was DJ, right?
I'm thinking the sister in the show, Alyssa Milano. Listen to
Alyssa
Alyssa Milano.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
No,
absolutely.
Alyssa Milano's from Who's the Boss.
Well, she's on Charmed too.
Well, she's on Charmed, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh no, the sister.
I thought you meant the sister on the show.
What show?
Growing Pains.
The sister on Growing Pains is Tracy Gold.
I'm thinking
Tracy
of Who's
Gold.
the Boss. Alyssa Milano's on Who's the Boss, right?
Yes.
Yes.
That's
with Tony
that's the-
Danza.
That's the show I was thinking of.
Yeah.
Tony Danza, who is on.
Raising Canaan.
Hey, my man. I'm gonna have to run.
We are
back.
not getting back on
I'm gonna
track.
have to play that back to figure out exactly what just happened because I'm a bit.
Who's on first?
I'm a
You
bit.
said,
unsure.
what'd you say? Family Ties, and I was, you said Who's the Boss, and I'm thinking,
Family Ties is Michael
you-
J. Fox.
They said
Yeah.
you said Growing Pains. I'm thinking Who's the Boss. That's why I said
What's the
Alyssa
sister
Milano.
on Family Ties?
Justine Bateman.
Sister of?
Jason Bateman.
Yeah.
Teen
Jason
Wolf
Bateman.
2.
Well, no, I know the last name.
That's right.
I don't know the movie. I know the last name. though.
Jason Bateman.
Michael J. Fox is Teen Wolf 1.
Isn't it crazy that Jason Bateman came back with Ozark?
Oh, his career's been phenomenal.
He comes back and you get horrible boss and all of it. Jason Bateman's still pretty funny.
Yeah, Game Night
And
was
then
fun.
Ozark drops and it's holy crap.
Oh, he's so good.
That was really good.
He
Have you
was
watched
in-
Ozark?
I haven't.
Ozark is fantastic.
He was in Juno as well.
He was.
And, in his build up to
Yeah,
some
yeah.
of the, and that
Yeah.
got a little awkward.
a little bit.
Yeah.
Is it like Eddie Murphy playing that serious role in Dreamgirls?
Oh no.
No,
Did a good job.
no, it wasn't that. No,
Did
it
a
was
really
great.
good job.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't.
Wasn't
that.
it Thunder Lips? Or
That's
Thunder?
Hulk Hogan and Rocky.
No, it's like Thunder earlier. It's early Thunder. So I can't remember what his name was. Man.
So Domantas Sabonis, James.
It's a bonus.
Um,
He's back on the court. No one would commit to him playing tomorrow, but he's back on the court.
That was obviously the next question. You only get to see the last few minutes of practice. You don't know exactly what he did out there, I assume.
Yeah, everyone said he looked great. He was full participant in practice. I think there's a little bit of concern about the back-to-back, and they want to see how his body reacts to playing, to having a full practice today before they make a full decision on tomorrow. But I would be surprised if he wasn't there. But I'd also say that both Zach LaVine said, yeah, I mean, he looked great, but, it's a hamstring and we want him to be good for the final, for the stretch run here. We don't want him to risk that. And Doug kind of said the same exact thing. Yeah, he looked good, but we'll see how he feels tomorrow. He was with the medical staff when we were there.
Is there a possibility? I'm sure there is. I shouldn't ask you this question, but maybe they let him. He's active, but it's a minutes restriction. He doesn't play more than X amount of minutes at a time, or something like that. Or, ironically, for a hamstring, like we saw with James Harden that time, maybe you don't take him off the court.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, that was a pretty extreme circumstance.
That was your season.
Shout out to James. I think it's one of his finest moments. But
Of which one?
when Harden messed up his hamstring in the playoffs
Oh yeah.
with the
Play like
the
49
Nets,
minutes.
the Nets versus the Bucks, and he just never came out of the game.
Yeah, because the second you come out of the game, you're worried
Yeah,
that
you're
thing's
done.
going to get cold and tighten up
Yeah.
and you're going to be done.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would expect that, again, if they're going to play him, they'll probably play him in long stretches. And then once he sits, maybe he doesn't come back in the game. What you don't want to do again is play him and then have him sit and have it get cold and then come back. I don't know. Maybe they'll pull the bike out and have him work on the bike like Harrison Barnes
Yeah,
used to
I was
do
about
all
to
the
say
time in the
Harrison's
tunnel.
Harrison was
Well, he might
On the
have
bike in
gotten
Game
traded.
7.
Might have gotten traded to San Antonio. Harrison was like, "Look, I'll go, but I got to bring the bike with me."
Yeah.
It's possible.
Harrison was on the bike in Game 7, and Steph was just going crazy. I said, "Hey, man, come on, man, get off the bike in the game. Stop somebody."
What's practice?
Dang, I was totally wrong. The kid from Blank Check was actually the younger brother from Family Ties, not from Growing Pains. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't remember.
I
him
barely
either.
remember the younger brother from Family Ties. I just remember Justine Bateman and Michael J. Fox.
Well, and you remember the younger sister.
I remember.
Christine Yothers.
Yes.
Is that what it's something?
Yothers? Yeah. I don't know if it was.
No, I might be wrong there.
I feel like it's Yothers. I feel like you're right there.
Oh, here he is, Brian Bonsell. He's had an
Sounds like
interesting
an,
life.
sounds like an NBA writer.
He's
just
had an
keep-
interesting life. There's a mugshot here.
Well, all right.
Poor Preston. That was his name in Blank Check.
YouTube people are going to be so pissed off when I title this segment, Domantas
Kelly?
Sabonis returns back
Any
to the
others?
court.
Oh, they are going to be so angry with you. 27 minutes in. Oh, yeah.
Tina Yothers.
Tina,
There we go.
there it
Woo!
is. Thank you.
Jeez, killing me. Kill me.
Tina. What? What were we doing?
We were talking about Domas.
Domas.
Were we okay?
Will he play,
what was-
will he not?
What was the vibe at practice today? Like we heard we played Doug, Zach, and honestly we were going to play tomorrow, and then we just got bored, or I did, and so it felt like everyone was pretty chill, quiet. Like what was the vibe like?
Yeah, when we came in, actually, it was really noisy. The music was cranked up. There was groups of two, like on a far court and on the close court, just hanging out and shooting shots and lots of loud music. And when we got to players, it was a little different. I think a lot of sort of that was one bad game. We're moving on.
Talking about the Knicks game.
Yeah. And I think a lot of like sort of like, it wasn't great, but we're all right. That happens sometimes in the league. And I know that's what DeMar kept saying.
Yeah.
It's something that happens, on occasion you have a bad night, and they didn't want to make excuses, but just said, yeah, we weren't physical enough. We got beat up, and we don't want to do that again.
Yeah. We were talking about it while everything was going on. It's like, at this point in the season, there's not a whole lot to say.
Yeah.
You know what's in front of you. These games are important. There is no game that, like, obviously you're not going to go undefeated, but there is no game that I'm like, yeah, we can lose that one. It's okay. Like, no, like it's a sprint at this point. So you just got beat up by a Knicks team on Monday. You got to win all these games. Like every game is essentially a must win when you're in the Kings situation.
Yeah. I even asked if, it's possible that the way that they played the Clippers all the way down to the wire and lost on Sunday, and then played the Knicks on Monday, if that could be a learning experience for them, because let's be honest, tomorrow's a back-to-back, the like half the games left here on the schedule are back-to-backs, and you can't just put it all out there in one game and, oh, we lost, and then come back the next night and just say, oh, well, we put it all out there last night. We all played 40 minutes and, we went to overtime and we lost. Just like, well, you don't get to lose. You can't let one game be two games every time. And I don't know if that's fully what happened with the Knicks. I mean, the Knicks were a team that had lost 3 straight, that were coming in pretty hungry, that just out physical the Kings. But you also, in some of those games, the team that's sitting there waiting, they kind of get the temperature in the first couple of minutes of a game and then go, oh, look, these guys are not hitting hard tonight. We're just going to, like, let's crank up what's happening here and let's run these guys off the court. And that's what happened. I mean, the Knicks just like pushed them around from then on.
Yeah, I don't mind the idea of, let's just put that behind us. I don't mind the idea either of those games happen. I think we said that the next day too. Like you could harp on it. It really sucks. I think that game was magnified because of what happened the night before. Each of those two games, I think, was magnified by the result of the other one. The Clippers game was magnified because of the result of the Knicks game. The Knicks game was magnified because of the result of the Clippers game. And they all result in, if you had just gotten that Clippers game, it wouldn't have been that big of a deal. Mm-hmm. But the idea of just moving on, putting it behind you, like I'm perfectly fine with that. But tomorrow's game there's a lot of, we talk about this on the handoff, Hammer. Like it feels like there's playoff basketball ahead for Sacramento. Like now, like right now, you've got games you've got games with playoff implications coming up, and the later we get into the season, those stronger those implications are going to become. Like the Clippers, they play tonight. They could lose again, and you could enter that game tomorrow against the Golden State Warriors with a chance to being matched in losses with the Los Angeles Clippers, and a chance to pick up a win, seal the season series on the Golden State Warriors, and put yourself in a good position moving forward. It's not great, but it's good, and it puts you in a really good spot for 7 and 8 conversations.
Yeah, I mean, every game is so incredibly valuable at this point. You can't just, like, again, there are going to be games coming up that you have no chance. And the team's
I don't
never
think
going to.
that's true.
Well,
I know what you mean. I know
the
what you
team's
mean.
never going to say that, but when you have 3 games in 4 nights, and I don't care if it's home or it's road or wherever it is, but those games are Milwaukee, OKC, and Boston. Like, you're going to lose probably 2 of those games and more likely 3. And that's just a reality of the situation you are now. Like, I'm not going to make excuses for them. That I think the reason I believe they're going to lose is not because I think they're a horrible basketball team, but I think they're playing a team that's better than them. And so you just kind of like look at those games and they're going to be really tough. Now, like, look, if this team walks in and shocks us and wins all 3 of those games, what is it? OKC? Yeah. OKC,
Boston and Milwaukee.
Yeah, Boston, Milwaukee. But Boston and OKC on a back-to-back.
Yeah.
Those are the teams that likely will be in the NBA Finals. Like, if we're making odds right now, those are the 2 teams we're putting in the NBA Finals, not to disrespect the Cavs
You just did.
or Denver or anyone else, but those are, I mean, and the Cavs are incredible, right? They've got 2 15-game win streaks and a 12-game win streak. They're just like spectacular. But still, the team with the experience is Boston. The team that won the championship last year is, Jesse's Boston Celtics. And so I don't think you're looking at those 2 games out of all the games left on the schedule and thinking, oh, we're going to get one of those, or we're going to find a way to sweep those. So it's tough. I mean, that's why you need to win games early in the season that matter. Every game matters when you get down to it. Again, the loss to the Clippers it's so heavily weighted because not only did you lose a game, did you drop behind them in the standings, but you lost the season series to them. So in order to beat the Clippers, you've got to finish a game above them in the standings now. And all of those things matter. Same thing with Golden State. Like, the game tomorrow really matters because there's a possibility here that Golden State comes back down to earth and struggles in the last 2-3 weeks of the season. We don't know. And you want to be in a position where if you do somehow climb back up in the standings and tie them, that you're the one who moves ahead, that gets a higher seeding in the playoffs because you got the tiebreaker. And that's why tomorrow matters so much.
The back-to-back that you have with the Warriors and the Suns. Can you I talked earlier about that the team needs an energy shift. Like, they had positive energy and things were going great. Then they had that loss, and it seems like the energy in that locker room or just around the team in general is in a tough malaise. Do you think that you need to win both of those to change the energy, or can you get away with just splitting that back-to-back and that'll have them feeling good about themselves starting that homestand?
I think they can build positive energy by, like, again, if you lose the Golden State game and it's a tough fought game, but you come back the next night and you beat Phoenix, I think you could get some momentum out of that. But it still doesn't help you, like, long term. The standings are what they are. These are not 2 of the easier games in the standings, but you can't look at Golden State. I mean, the Golden State has won 10 out of 12. They've been really good since the trade, right? And they're nearly unbeatable with Jimmy Butler. But that you still have to go in and play them. Like, the rest of the NBA doesn't just lay down and give the Golden State Warriors a championship because they went out and made a Jimmy Butler trade. So you've got to find a way to be competitive in these games, and you've got to find a way, like, to win some games against teams that are ahead of you in the standings. 2 weeks ago, when you got clubbed by this team, you were tied in the standings, or the Kings were half game above them. But now they're way above the Kings because they just keep winning, and the Kings have kind of been, hit and miss. You got to find ways to compete and to show that you're just as good or better than them. And again, like, sometimes it does come down to just straight up the tiebreakers against these teams, And what if you beat Golden State and it kind of snaps them out of their little run here? And what if they stack up a couple of losses here? Yeah. That's what you're hoping that you can.
KC was talking about earlier. Shift the energy.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, shift the energy. And hey, look. Like, Steph Curry is unbelievable, but he's also a player who is unbelievable and gets hurt all the time. If Steph has an ankle problem or whatever in the next couple of weeks, like, that team is going to have a tough time winning again. And so that's what you're looking at here. You got to find ways to not to hurt somebody, but ways to stick around and to, win season series against teams when it's available. And this is a big one.
And it'll look a little bit different. You talked about the Jimmy Butler lineup for the first time tomorrow. We'll see this Jimmy Butler version of the Golden State Warriors with Jonathan Kuminga, who will return for the first time since I think early January, February.
Yeah.
January?
He's missed, I think, 31 straight games.
Okay. What do you? I know. I don't think you're a big Jonathan Kuminga fan, but how do you think this all? It's an interesting dynamic to this game on multiple fronts. I'm sure the Warriors want to get him involved. They want to get him back out there. They want to give him some run, but you also have something that has been working incredibly well, and that's quite the dynamic for Steve Kerr to juggle over there.
Yeah, I mean, I think long term you're a better team when you have more talent, and Jonathan Kuminga is very talented, and so like I think if they can integrate him in, he's actually going to be a strong player for them. But there are certain players that just like Jimmy Butler. We talked to DeMar DeRozan today, and he said something about Jimmy being a winner. It's either him or Zach. One of the two said like Jimmy Butler's just a winner, and that's something that. Again, Jonathan Kuminga, you look at Kuminga's stats, you look at Jimmy Butler's stats, they're not dissimilar. Like they're actually, very, very comparable players statistically, except for the assist numbers for Butler. But that doesn't change the fact that Jimmy Butler is a bona fide winner, and Kuminga has never been able to reach that status. And so, like, again, Kuminga's numbers and his value to a team aren't on the same page yet.
Sure.
And so I don't know that it helps them or hurts them, but I do know that it will change sort of the chemistry on the court, and we'll have to see how they handle that. But I don't know that it's a really a good thing to add him back in after missing this much time. Like long term, it's a good thing because you're going to need Kuminga to be a good player for you. But short term, it could be a little rough, and we'll have to see what it looks like. But you're talking about a guy who, again, he's okay at spacing the floor, but not great at spacing the floor. He has a high usage rate. He's a player that wants the ball in his hands to be effective. The Kings don't really have somebody that can defend Kuminga like one-on-one, except for maybe Keegan and maybe LaRavia. But still, this is he's a quality player. He's just not someone who, again, I think impacts the bottom line yet.
Do you have you felt any energy when you asked Doug Christie about the coaching staff?
It's weird because
did you know Doug is the coach?
I did know that Doug is the coach. I don't understand. Like, he's sensitive about it, and but he hadn't told us that. He had said it to Jason, and I was trying to but we all heard it over the air, right?
Yeah.
But I wanted to kind of judge where he was at with that, and I find it.
What'd it tell you?
I find it strange that he's sensitive about it, and that's not what we're trying to ask there.
Yeah.
Again, Leandro Barbosa had surgery on, I believe it's his quad. He tore his quad, and so he has a full leg brace, and I don't believe he can sit on the front of the bench. And the idea is for him to be a front of the bench coach when it's time, right? Doug and him have become good friends. They've traveled with Domas all over the place. It's not just Doug and Domas. A lot of times Leandro was part of that. So I get it being like super familiar with Leandro, but at the same time, like it shouldn't be that difficult. Like, it was like, what is the structure? Like what nameplates go where? And he's a little combative about it. I don't think he was horribly combative today with it, but he still said the same thing. Like, I'm the coach. Like, it's like, yeah, we know you're the coach, but like, who's sitting where? That's all we're asking. Like we're going to a wedding. Who's sitting next to who?
Yeah.
In at table 13. Like, that's what we're asking.
Right.
And surprisingly, he's not fully like on board with like expressing what that means.
Yeah.
And that's okay. And again, we're not trying to like say, hey, does this mean Jawad Williams is not one of your guys? Does this mean so-and-so is one of your guys? I don't think we have like a real level of comfort with him when it comes to that specific thing.
You know, and this is just Kenny Caraway talking. I get the vibes that him and Luke weren't on the same page. That's how it comes off to me.
Luke is definitely a Mike Brown guy. Like, there's no question about that. Like, Jordy Fernandez was a Mike Brown guy. Davidis Dolkis, like, he's not so much a Mike Brown guy as he was a Luke Laux guy. Like, they played together at Florida State. Like, they're good friends, right? Their wives are like best friends. And so that group of coaches were very close to Mike. And that's going to be part of the problem coming down the stretch here. Well, when we ask these questions of Doug, of like who goes where, right? I would say the one good thing for Doug is that a lot of those coaches left during the offseason. Like a group of them, Dutch Gately and Dolkes and Jordy all left and went to Brooklyn. And so that kind of broke up some of Mike's, who's a Mike guy and who's a Doug guy type thing. But at this point, like if Doug is going to be the head coach next year, we could see an entirely different coaching staff. We could see 1 or 2 leftover people. We could see 3. I don't know how many people will be left over if Doug is the coach next year, but that's the NBA game, and Doug should be allowed to hire his own coaching staff. You just can't do it mid-season. So, like, would I be surprised next season if it's Doug Christie and sitting next to him is Elston Turner? Who is like the defensive coordinator for, or one of the lead coaches for the Minnesota Timberwolves. No, I wouldn't be surprised by that. Yeah. You know, him and Elston.
Awesome.
Yeah, but that's awesome. So I could see that. Like a lot of people throw out Bobby Jackson.
Get Elston off that sinking ship too.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
Elston is still a really good defensive coach, and they were together here in Sacramento, and then Elston was back. Elston, I think, has been back 3 times.
Elston's the original Sam Cassell. Like the big, he's like it's the biggest crime Elston Turner wasn't a head coach.
Yeah, he absolutely deserves an opportunity.
He absolutely did.
I totally agree. You know, there are coaches that for whatever reason they never get that opportunity.
Yeah, and
then sometimes they do, and they're just great. And you're like, man, you just wasted all that time where you could have like had him be the front guy. But like, look. I wouldn't be shocked. Elston's, I looked it up today. I think he's 65 years old.
Yeah.
And that's not to say that that's going to happen. Elston might be totally happy in Minnesota and like, no, I'm good. But Doug should have the opportunity to go out and bring in people that he's comfortable with, that you trust, and that you don't worry about if they're sitting on the bench and they say something to a media member or something else. Everyone should be pulling the same way. And they should all be pulling the same way with one message, and that message is put out by the head coach.
It's a tough year for Doug. Like the obviously the Mike Brown firing, but also the rumors around the stuff involving Jay or Luke Laux and all of the stuff that surrounded Mike Brown's firing. That probably made, Doug's position difficult, Doug ascending to that position difficult. And that doesn't even factor in the De'Aaron Fox dynamic.
Oh yeah. I mean, all of it's crazy.
Yeah.
This is chaotic.
It's a lot to ask a coach to handle. It's a ton to ask an interim coach to handle.
Yeah. And like the story you're talking about, like we know that the front office gave Mike Brown a choice to let go of one of his assistant coaches, whether it was Luke or it was Jay. And he said no. And then he wasn't there a week later. Mike wasn't.
Yeah, right.
And so those coaches were still there up until this last weekend when Luke left. So yeah, there's some awkwardness. You got to get through it.
I think our show is over. Yep, our show is over. Jesse says we have to go home. We can't play anymore. So we appreciate you for being with us. We're going to head over to 102.5. Make sure you're with James and Kyle tomorrow morning, beginning at 10 a.m. with the Insiders here on Sacramento Sports Leader, ESPN 1320.
Vamos, Nuggets and Heat.